back to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. It's your boy, DJ KO. I'm glad you guys tuned in to the show. Guys, man, I represent everything that you guys represent. I'm glad you guys tuned in. Glad you guys subscribe. Glad you guys ask me questions that you don't want to ask me on the public platform. And I'm going to keep it savvy. I'm going to keep it sacred. And I'm going to keep it discreet. But I thank you guys for tuning in, man. Much love to my sponsor, 605 Adult Beverages. Also, Red Core Universe. Much love to you guys. Guys, you know, when you come to Texas, y'all see my attire. You know, normally I have attire for the set that whenever I have an interview, y'all see my attire. The rodeo is officially over, but it's not over for me, you know. Yeah. I'm what they call a black cowboy, right? They had black cowboys in Galveston. You know, the history about Juneteenth, you guys, if you don't know about it, go research it, about the black cowboys in Juneteenth. So for our guest today, this is special. Yes, because people that come up here, you know, I consider them as being family.
Right,
you know,
right.
From, what is it? Brothers from distant mothers?
Yes.
Right? But today I have real family, like with bloodline, real family that came up here to visit. And this is going to be a special show, man. So you guys that tuned in, you're in for a special treat, especially because you done seen this brother. You done seen him all around the United States. You probably done seen him in D.C. a lot. You probably seen him in Florida. You probably see him at the backyard barbecue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, guys, look. Without further ado, I'd like everybody to welcome to the show, Mr. Evangleo Morris.
Hey, thank you very much, Adam. It's an honor to be here. Couldn't wait to be here. Been actually hoping to get here for a couple of years now. Every time I see your show, I say to myself, I have to get to this fan's show.
Yes, sir.
So I'm so glad to be here, and proud of you what you're doing across this country. You are really helping to change the culture of people. So appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So before we get into it, I'm gonna call you Van, right? Everybody, I call him Van. This is my uncle, so I can call him Van. So I'm not gonna say Evangelist. Everybody else got to call me Evangelist. so Van, let me ask you this before we even get started. For the people in my viewers that don't know you, that never met you, never saw you.
Right.
You know, they probably saying, who's this brother this guy got up here? This guy. You know, it's interesting people, you know. Last week I had a guy that said how to create your own bank legally.
Oh, wow.
He was like, what is that? But today we have somebody up here that is going to give us, when I say give us like bits and pieces and chunks, and motivate us and inspire us, right? So how did you even begin on the journey that you're on right now?
Well, first of all, like I said, Adam, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here today, and I'm so grateful. And right now my heart is overjoyed because I'm with family. Mm-hmm. This is like my actual nephew here. So, but basically, I'm a combat veteran that now retired and turned to motivational speaker / inspirational speaker. But this really all came about from my biological father. So my biological father and your grandfather is a man that's no longer with us, but he was Bishop Edward Ciprian. And this guy, if I had to say one word to summarize the essence of who he was a man that had a talent of wit, W-I-T. In other words, he could really naturally just personify and embrace words and sentences and statements in a way that was colorful, dynamic, and allowed you to understand. Mm-hmm. So he could really create and recreate words and help communicate like a master communicator. He was a man that could really articulate and woo an audience. Mm-hmm. So he was a bishop, but he could have been anything he wanted to be because of the wit that he had and the personality to go along with that. So if he wanted to, he could have been a doctor. He could have been a lawyer. He would have made a great lawyer. He would have made a great politician.
Absolutely.
If he wanted to go down that road, a county commissioner, he could have done all of those things with the talent that he had. And so I would like to just acknowledge that. That's really at the core of how I'm able to do what I'm able to do is because of my biological father. So, but my journey really started like a lot of journeys with a lot of people. It starts in the church.
Right, absolutely.
Right. So when I was in the church, I would sing, I would lead, I would explain. They would force you to get on stage, right, and speak. And little did I know that was grooming me for what I am now. So here I am going around the country from coast to coast, pillar to post, talking to schools, corporations, nonprofit organizations, sporting venues, anybody. that will give me an opportunity to say a few words about America's common sense core values. And I have two lines of effort. Number one is to honor those that serve. When you're talking about law enforcement, you're talking about service members, veterans, even teachers, medical professionals, healthcare professionals, healthcare workers. And so that's what I do. That's one line of effort. But another line of effort is my second line of effort is to teach our kids the value of freedom. And we're not talking about necessarily just patriotism, but we're talking about teaching kids to have confidence in themselves and to embrace who they are, to be the best version of themselves and take the best path to their best future, even on their worst days.
So I know you jump ahead. I want to get the timeline, storyline.
Okay.
Correct. So you was in the Navy.
Right.
How long were you in the Navy?
So I served in the Navy for 26 years. So I'm back in the late 1980s. I joined submarines, and let's just say that other than my brother Mitch, there was no pedigree in our family for serving in the military. So I'm moving into uncharted waters, no pun intended. But that's what happened. And in the Navy, you can't just join submarines. Once you join the Navy, you have to volunteer to go into submarines. So you can't join the Navy and they automatically put you in submarines because of claustrophobia things and things of that nature. So, and there is a Cinderella story associated with that. And basically there were two gentlemen, and these were two white guys, right? And these two white dudes went and talked to me and 11 other students about becoming a commissioned officer. So that had never happened to me before. So if I could just talk to your audience about that, because this is talking about racial divide, political divide, social divide, and economic divide. You look at my past, you will see my older brother being run over by a car, killed, and no one knew who had done it. And then fast forward 7 years, there I am. At that time, when my brother was run over, I was seven. So you fast forward about 7 years, now I'm in junior high school. And I get in junior high school. Now, this is in the early 80s. The principal comes into my classroom and he says, Van, you. He picks out 4 guys. And he tells us, hey, get out of the class and you're going to go out and help the local farmers bale hay. Wow. So we went behind a tractor with a flatbed, and we were taken out of school during 6th period and 7th period, and to go with the local farmers to go and load hay bales on the flatbed. Wow. We did that for 6th period and 7th period on Tuesdays and Thursdays every other week. So that's 4 times a month.
For free?
Yeah, absolutely. And now that was English and math. Now I flunked the 7th grade. I failed, but I didn't attribute that to that work outside of school. I just attributed it to me not really putting all I could into school.
Right.
So there I am in the 7th grade again, repeat. So, and I was a little chatty in class, and then one of my teachers said, "Van, I told you to lock it up." So I didn't shut up at the time, so he called me out on it. And then he said, "You know what, Van? You're not going to be any more than your father. Mm-hmm. You are not going to be anything in life." He said those words to me. And he said it in front of 30 other students. So I was very embarrassed. I was humiliated. Mm-hmm. You humiliated me, and then you disrespected my father by telling me I'm not going to be any more than my father, and he's not doing anything, what the teacher said. My father was a hard-working man, and he drove lumber trucks, and he had to provide for 16 kids. And I was proud of my dad. Now you just embarrassed me in front of these other students. That scarred me for life, Adam. I never forgot that.
Wow.
And so moving forward from that, my mom had told me, she said, listen, before that incident had happened, she said, listen, if a teacher talks to you in a way that you know isn't right, don't contest that teacher. Just report that. Because there was no victory. You were not going to win that one.
Right.
So he was, basically disrespecting me. And I just put my head down, and he stopped. And then I reported that. So now fast forward, about 7 years, I joined the Navy. So there I am in the Navy, and low ranking E2 in the Navy. And then this instructor comes into class. This is right after lunch. He says, if I call your name, stay in your seats. If I don't call your name, you're free to go on liberty. So what do you think all the rest of the guys in the Navy, class of 35, right? 35 guys. And these are all men because the women weren't allowed on submarines during these times. So he called 12 names. And you guessed it, I was one of the 12.
Wow.
So the other guys, they left so fast because the instructor said, hey, didn't call your name, get out of here. Man, those guys took off so fast, they didn't even bother to look back to see who was left behind. But I was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking around at these other 11 guys, and I'm saying to myself, what do I have in common with these other 11 guys? I couldn't find anything that I had in common with them. And then I said, oh, wait, we're all black.
Oh, wow. It was all black. Wow.
It was like 12 black guys. And I'm like saying to myself, this ain't good. This cannot be good. Okay, something like, okay, you know what? We're all E2s. We're very low ranking. I tell you what, some guy, one of us either brought a girl in the barracks or you've done something.
Oh, something happened, yeah.
Something happened. So then the instructor comes to us and he says, all right, guys, let's go. You're going into the commanding officer's inboard cabin. The commanding officer is an 06 in the Navy. Okay, that's a very high-ranking individual. There are no circumstances where you should find yourself as an E2 in the office of the commanding officer. That should not happen. So there we are. We're marching into his office. Oh, by the way, we're dressed in our utility uniforms, so we're looking like scrubs, right? And the captain, he's dressed in his service dress blues, so he's, all dressed up with brass everywhere. So I get into the office, and there's 3 bleachers. I sit on the second bleachers, so I'm not in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other 11 guys, they all piled in on that 3rd bleacher, so I'm still up front. So, and he gets to talking, and oh, by the way, the command master chief was with him. That's a senior enlisted guy in the command. That doesn't make things any better. So these are 2 white guys, like I said at the beginning of my statement. So the captain began talking to us, and he says, guys, listen up. I brought you here because your grades are phenomenal. I'm like,
Really?
He said, and your PRT scores, your physical fitness scores, through the roof. And you all have great personalities, easy to get along with. You all will make great leaders. You are currently on an enlisted track, but I want you to consider becoming a commissioned officer.
Yeah. Wow.
Boom. Man, that hit me like you would not believe in the best way possible, right? So I'm like, man, this man is breathing life into me. So, and then he looked at me and he said, Morris, I would like to see you in my wardroom as a commissioned officer. Man,
wow.
No one had ever spoken life to me like that.
This white guy, right?
Yeah, both of these guys were white, high-ranking and white, and we're all 12 low-ranking junior enlisted black guys. And right there, Adam, that's when I actually became a patriot.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things that had happened to me in my past, my brother being run over by a car, and we did not know who had done it. We found out later that it was a white guy that did it because he did not like blacks, and he confessed to that. He confessed. So it was a straight-up hate crime. That was forgiven. Fast forward 7 years, the teacher, the principal, taking me out of class with 3 other guys. Go, load hay bales. And then the other teacher after that, the next year, telling me I'd never be anything in life. All of that was forgiven because what had happened now is the same ethnicity was breathing life into me. So it reminded me of what my mother told me long ago. She said, never attribute the actions of one person and attribute an entire ethnicity.
Right.
It doesn't matter if you see, it doesn't matter the color of the person. Don't attribute that to everyone. If I had attributed that to everyone, you wouldn't be having me here as a guest speaker right now.
Right. That moment, that's when you became a patriot.
That moment.
So how long was this before, when you was in the military? This was maybe a year or so?
I was in there for about a year.
Okay.
I was in the military for close to a year. Not quite a year, but close to that. So you're in the incubation phase, and a lot of things are happening in that phase in the military. Guys are trying to make a decision on whether or not this is for them. And I had not really made that decision.
You were 18 years old at this point.
Yeah, I was 18, going on 19 at that point. And yeah, so I said all that to say that when I get out there and I do public speaking, specifically when I'm talking to kids, whether they're middle school students or high school students, I know that I can inspire them because of what had happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the schools on average are giving me 25 minutes to speak to kids.
Okay.
So I'll come to a school district and they're going to give me 25 minutes. If it's a high risk type of situation, a high risk schools or students, then I'll get an extra 5 minutes to kind of, break through some challenges maybe.
Right.
So, but regardless of 25 or 30 minutes, that's more than 20 minutes. Those two white guys spoke to us, 12 guys, and it was a 20-minute talk.
Wow.
I had a paradigm shift in my mind with just a 20-minute speech.
Absolutely. It happens like
Okay.
Yeah.
It really was a metamorphosis of the mind. I was changed. And after that, I wanted to go back years later once my career started really moving and I became a commissioned officer. I wanted to go back and talk to those two guys and say, hey, thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
I really appreciate you. But I don't know their names. I don't remember what they look like. All I know is what happened. And sometimes that's the way it is in life. So I'm going to talk to these students here in America. Every month I'm talking to students. And they may forget my name. They may forget what I look like.
Mm-hmm.
But they will never forget the message.
Absolutely.
That I leave behind. And that's really the humble approach that I take. I don't need people to remember the name. I remember what I look like. Just remember the message.
So the good thing about that message is it's not the messenger, it's the message, right?
The message.
The
message.
The great thing about that, you through the dynamic of the conversation, I got to understand that there are things that are positive and things that are negative.
Right.
Right?
Right.
A negative can't overshadow a positive, but a positive can overshadow a negative.
Well said.
Right?
Yeah.
So when those two officers spoke life into you, one thing, the positive.
Wow, that's it. I like the way you said that.
Right? The positive illuminated and the negative went out the window, right?
It went out the window.
And then you also had a mind shift, right? A mindset. It was already there. Somebody just had to unlock it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So they unlocked that key. They unlocked that door that you didn't have the key to yet.
Right.
So I think that would being positive and helping each other out, each one's teach one. And like you said, that message might be that key to unlock that door in somebody's brain.
Right. And now let's drop deeper. Okay? Because like I said, my mother, my father, they were very instrumental in making me who I am today, right? But I can't say that necessarily in schools. Why? Because when you're dealing with schools, especially high schools, those kids, a lot of them don't have parents.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them don't have a dad, or their mother may be strung out on drugs, or maybe they don't have a dad or a mom and they're living with their grandparents. And the grandparents are not really aware of what is really happening. They don't even know if the kid is really attending class or not because they're not dropping them off. Kids catch the bus and that's the end of that. Which is why we have such a large dropout rate here in this country now. And people don't realize that, America graduates roughly about 14 million students every year. So that is what is happening in our country with all these students graduating. And so when the students graduate, they move on to bigger and better things, we hope.
Supposedly.
Right?
Hopefully.
But some students don't graduate. They drop out prior to that. And we're talking about like a million. Let me correct that. I think it's 4 million. It's 4 million students graduate every year. Of the 4 million, it should be roughly 5 million.
Okay. So you got a million that's
not graduating. They're just dropping out. So, and which is why we have in America today, people don't realize it, but we have roughly 30 million Americans that don't have a high school diploma. 30 million, not 30,000, 30 million.
Yeah, I see it.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot of people, and I see it.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of hemorrhaging there.
Yeah, a lot.
So and that's why I want to stop the hemorrhaging.
I can go political with that, but I can do that.
It's easy. It's easy. Okay. So, and furthermore, with Generation Z, suicide is number 2, the number 2 cause of death. Your worst enemy definitely is yourself. The person that you have to look out for that's going to derail your career is you. So I have to encapsulate that in that manner, because if I go any other way, then it's not going to stick. And I give them one or two examples about the military. I said, listen, from the year 2001 to 2021, we lost nearly 30,000 service members and veterans to suicide.
Wow.
30,000. Now, stop right there. Just try to imagine a person, or if you know a person, that killed themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Or you know of a friend's friend who killed themselves. That still grips you. Like your friend tells you about their friend who committed suicide. It grips you. Now imagine 30,000 in such a short span. Now, during that same time span, we lost nearly 6,000 service members to combat or training for combat. Do the math on that.
Wow.
You have roughly 5 times the number of service members that took their own lives as compared to those that died in combat. So you tell me, who's the worst enemy? Is it Al Qaeda? Is it ISIS? Or is it you?
Wow.
It's a case that you cannot refute. So that's why I tell students, if you want to succeed in life, be the best version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace your talents. Embrace your dreams. Take the best path to your best future, even on your worst days. And if you can do that, you can be whatever it is in life you want to be, and no one can stop you.
Why are kids the passion? Because you have, like I said, you spoke about those social issues that's going on. That's going to always go on, right?
Right.
Why are kids the passion? Because most guys that sit in the military, or post-military, they focus on political issues.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something about, this is my country, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Why is that focus on kids? Because, most of us well, not us, but
yeah.
most of the people have kind of given up on education, the kids. They said they're doomed. But I'm like, that's the future. It's like, I know AI is around, but they still have younger people they got to get older.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. An excellent question. And the answer to that is anyone from the ages of 12 to 25. You are impacting your life more so between those years than at any other point in your life. So if you want to impact society in the most profound way, you have to impact them during the ages of 12 and 25. Why? Because those people are changing their life or affecting their life more so between those years. That's the critical phase of a human, is right there. That's when decisions are made, actions. Now, you may learn more at a faster rate, perhaps, when you are a toddler. And so I don't want to dispute those kinds of things. But impact, decision-making, consequences, impact, there's no greater phase of your life than during that phase. That is why I'm actually focused on elementary, middle school, high school, and college. That's the lion's share of my focus, because these are the people that's going to become our county commissioners.
Yeah.
They're going to become our politicians. They're going to become everything that we are doing. They're going to replace all of us, whether we like it or not. And the teachers aren't necessarily trained to speak in this manner. So I can go outside of their perimeters and come in at an angle that's using, like Bishop used, wit.
Yeah.
So using that wit to speak to them creatively so that it will inspire them in a way that they will never forget. So that's why we're focused on that. And are we the only ones? No. Look at what Al Qaeda is doing, and over in the Middle East. A lot of these terrorist organizations that are affiliated with terrorist organizations, they are taking their kids at the age of 4, and they're cultivating those kids, getting them in front of situations so that they can buy into their ideology and their belief.
Get them young.
We don't do that in America. We educate kids, but we don't really instill core values and the passion that other countries do. So we're at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So let me ask you this. I want to fast forward,
okay,
because I've seen you on different campuses. I've seen you in different platforms, conventions, shows, that you had a poem that you cultivated, created.
Yeah.
And now you're giving it to the world.
Yes.
And a lot of people bring you in because
of that poem.
Yeah. So before you even get to the poem, what was the motivation? Was you just sitting at the house saying, I'm bored, he had this epiphany. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna write this great piece of work.
That's a very good question. Thank you. Thank you very much. So it really started with just, volunteering.
Okay.
So that poem, Old Glory, is a poem that was written about 45 years ago, if I remember correctly. It was written only for the Navy and the Marine Corps. I want you to hold on to that.
Okay.
It was written for the Navy and Marine Corps. So what does that mean? That means that they're going to use it for their events, military retirement ceremonies, promotion ceremonies, funerals. They would use the poem for that. And the poem was roughly about half of what you know the poem to be today. So I've expanded it. So the original poem is half of what you've seen me do. So that's a recital. You read it, it touches the hearts of people, and you move on. Once I got to the Pentagon back in the 2008. So in 2008, 9, 10, 11, I'm at the Pentagon, and there are retirement ceremonies going on because at the Pentagon you got 26,000 people,
Right.
roughly. So there's a lot. It's top heavy. A lot of admirals, generals, and all of that. And so what that means is you're going to get promotions, you're going to get retirement ceremonies, and all of that. So one guy asked me to read Old Glory, so I read it. And as I was reading it, other people in the audience, they paid attention. Now, the Old Glory had been read for decades prior to me reading it. So why now are people focusing on it and critiquing me? Oh, they were critiquing me. And you look at the nice polished product that you see now, it wasn't that way. I got critiqued. So I was saying certain things they didn't like. I'll give you one example. One chaplain came up to me, an Army chaplain. He says, so, man, in your poem, you say, I bow to no one. Okay, I say, I bow to no one. Okay, so does that mean you don't bow to God? And I told the chaplain, no, sir. I'm not saying I don't bow to God. That's not what the poem is saying. Well, you say no one.
Right.
So what did I have to do?
Yeah.
I modified the poem.
Yeah.
And so I kept getting critique like that. The Coast Guard come up to me and say, hey, the poem is great, but you don't have the Coast Guard in it. Then the Special Operations Forces came up to me, hey, you don't have us. So next thing you know, the poem expanded to something that you see today. I was obedient, Adam. I listened to those critiques. And even though it was a Navy product, I'm the guy up there on stage. If I don't change this poem, I'm going to continue to get beat up about this.
Absolutely. So
I took it upon myself, changed the poem, and I informed different Navy leaders, hey, I'm changing this poem. This is going to be basically my version of Old Glory, and I'm not going back. And I thought that was the end of it. But then one day, a four-star general named Tony Thomas, he was the commander of Special Operations Command. He was retiring, and he wanted me to recite Old Glory at his event, and I did. Now, there are lots of people out in the audience, about 1,000 people or so, and they're coming to see the general, and they're thinking about how he might be able to help them in their organization in some kind of way. So a lot of that is happening, scouting, if you will.
Yeah, right.
So, but they saw me also. So they said, okay, well, we're here for the general, but we're noticing this guy over here too. So a lot of those companies, they start pulling me out to do Old Glory at their event. Now, when that happened, I am no longer in the confines of the military and on military-based performances. Now I'm performing outside. When that happened, when the first corporation called me to do Old Glory outside of the military base, that is when everything started to blow up at that point. And that's when I realized that this is a real thing. People are telling me that this is impacting them in major ways.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't believe it until I went outside to corporate America and started doing Old Glory. And as it began to blow up and explode, and then an admiral spoke to me and says, hey, man, don't worry about what the Navy says. You're doing a great job with the Old Glory. Continue to evolve this poem. And I did. So now the Army, which had nothing to do with Old Glory, the Army said, hey, man, we want you to come and help us recruit some students. Because you may recall a couple of years ago, the Army had some bad numbers. The Navy had bad numbers. The Air Force had bad numbers. Basically, all the services had bad recruiting numbers. And they wanted me to come in and speak to students with my poem. And I did so. And that is when, this is recent. That was in late 2023. So it's very recent. So I did that. And when I did that, I recognized I need to be in schools. So Adam, I wasn't always coaching, teaching, and mentoring students and inspiring students. It wasn't until 2023 that I saw that there is a need for this.
Yeah.
So everything that you have seen online, believe it or not. Now, don't get me wrong. I've spoken at schools prior to that, years prior to that, but not as a business, not full time.
Yeah.
So this is a whole different ballgame, and definitely not on a mission to heal America. So I have had to grow almost at a vertical rate.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know, just by listening to that story and just by me looking at it, just being a business owner also,
Mhm.
some people watch because they know I talk about business a lot,
Right.
and how to structure business.
Mhm.
I want to ask you this: did you have a background in structuring a business, especially when it comes to like a copyright? Because that's a Navy. It was a military thing,
Right.
but you remixed it,
Right.
and you kind of made it to your thing.
Right. Yeah.
And like the admiral told you, he's like, don't worry about the Navy.
Right.
We got this over here. So you got
Right.
basically you got the
Right.
go ahead
To go.
to do it.
Yes.
So how did you learn the structure on how to remix
Mhm.
that, then make it into a LLC, independent contractor?
Yes. Basically, I do have a master's in business.
Okay.
So that helped a lot. But I want to say this in a way that doesn't disrespect the Navy. But the Navy is not like the Army when it comes to pursuing higher education
Okay.
and using education for career development. Both services do an immaculate job of getting their officers and enlisted people to enhance their careers and professional development with regards to education. But the Navy is different in the aspect of it doesn't always, depending upon your line of commission. So I was an unrestricted line officer. And what that means is basically I can go into war as a surface warfare officer, a submariner, or an aviator, or you can throw Marines in there too for the Department of the Navy. So when we get a degree, it's for straight up professional development.
One thing, yeah.
Okay. It's not necessarily like the Army is. When the Army sends you to get higher education, like let's say if the Army sends you to go to the Naval Postgraduate School to get a master's, they're sending you because it's in your track.
Got you.
Okay, so that's in your specialty. That's what you're supposed to do.
Oh.
With me, I could have majored in business. I could have majored in finance. I could have majored in an array of things. It was up to me in my professional development. So I like the way the Navy does it because it gave me the liberty to be able to pick and choose within
range of that degree.
I got to pick and choose what I wanted to get a degree in for my master's and my bachelor's for that matter too. It just had to be a technical bachelor's. So I was able to leverage that in it. But now I want to say this because your question is very, very valid. If you look at the essence of what I do, I'm basically taking what I have learned and experienced in the military, taking it from the military, declassifying it, sanitizing it, and making it where it can be palatable and digestible for corporate America. That's basically what I'm doing. You look at Ole Glory. What did I do? That was a Navy point. That's a Navy and a Marine Corps thing, right?
Right.
I took it from the military, cleaned it up. There were some things about it that I will not say today. And a lot of the best practices, the business rules, the core values that I teach these kids and corporations, keep in mind, I do keynote speeches in corporations. So where is the lion's share of the information that I'm using it? It's coming from the military. And I want to throw a number at you. If you look at all corporations, all businesses, nonprofit, I don't care what any of them, you look at them all, there's usually a limit of time where they thrive and then a lot of them start, tapering down. But the military has demonstrated sustained superior performance for arguably over 200 years, over two centuries. How were they able to do that?
Wow.
So I think that
level.
Yeah, oh, at that level, sustained superior performance for over 2 centuries. Okay, what other company you know right now today
None.
that
All companies do this.
that demonstrated that? So that being said, Adam, what I am doing is I'm taking that fact, if we can call it a fact, okay, I'm taking that fact and say, let's take some of their core values, their best practices, their business rules, and let's make the military a case study. That's what I do. I basically take what I've learned there, the experiences I've had, and I'm bringing it out here to corporate America, teaching our kids the value of freedom, talking to them about the core values of America. That's what I do. I don't know why more people aren't doing this.
I was about to ask you that question. That's I was about to say. So, how does the military stay so high in terms of excellence and performance?
There's multiple things. Number one, well, when I say number one, I'm saying number one in my mind, not necessarily the top reason. Number one is term limits.
Okay, the 4 year,
3 year,
3 year,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, so in the military, let's say you got a ship, USS McCampbell. I was on the USS McCampbell. The McCampbell will have a commanding officer. That is the man or woman that is in charge of that ship, that warship. Okay, now that person is only going to be there for 3 years, tops. In some cases, 2. Okay, put him on the command. After that, then a new leader comes in. Fresh ideas, new way to lead.
Makes sense.
New governance. There are certain rules and regulations they have to follow, but the climate of the community of sailors on that platform is really going to be enlarged, governed by the commanding officer. Okay? And then they're gone. And all the sailors know, and I've heard them tell me, you know what? He'll be gone in 2 years. That gives them hope. So if you don't like a commanding officer, you know, it's not the end of the world. He's gone in 2 years. Now compare that to Congress, and I don't want to get into politics at all.
Yeah.
But compare that to Congress. What do you have? Do you have term? No. They're running forever.
Right.
So if I was the president of the United States, I would set term limits. That would be the first thing that I would do. I would tell the House of Representatives, you have 3 times you can get elected. 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, and you're done. There should be no reason for no House of Representatives being in service for more than 6 years.
For 30, 40 years.
No, that's not, no. I don't care how much the people love you, you are done.
Yeah.
So one of the things you can take from the military is term limits. Put the commanding officer in charge and get him out of there.
That makes
2 to 3 years. And the Senate, you know what I would do? I would change from 6 years to 4 years. You got 2 terms you can run for the Senate. 4-year term, and if you get reelected, that second reelection, you're done after that. So no senator will serve more than 8 years in the government. Having all these guys that are in their senior years and still serving, and a lot of them they're kind of losing it, they're slipping it. No, they're slipping. No, you're done.
Yeah.
So when you get that, you make that happen, now you're changing the environment. You're changing the government. And you're not giving them a chance to grow roots and to become institutionalized. Okay?
Okay.
You're not allowing that. Because when you become institutionalized, you're now desensitized to issues.
Right. It's just the way it was.
It's just the way it was. It's the way it is. And so becoming institutionalized means that you are probably desensitized to the issues that are facing this country. And you're not really ready for change and growth. Okay? The second thing I would do is ban lobbyists. I would not allow any lobbyists. You can go through the government and you can clean up all these problems. And let's say Doge, for example, and I don't want to get into politics, but let's say Doge is out there cleaning up things, right? And finding money in various places like, man, did you know $300 million was going over here to this, program? And then the $1 billion going over there to that program? Okay, even if you cut those programs, how did it happen in the first place?
Right. How did it get granted?
There's humans involved in that.
Right.
So, and listen, and so whether it's a lobbyist group out there or whatever's out there that's incentivizing these politicians to go head on and authorize this, even if it's some pork inside of a major bill, it doesn't matter. You have institutionalized people that are desensitized to what needs to happen. We need fresh minds, fresh ideas, and we need to get rid of everybody in Congress needs to go.
So I see you running for governor, right?
Look, if I was to run, I'm telling you, I would run on two things. Okay, term limits would be number one, and I would ban lobbying. Okay, you wouldn't be able to do that. And then the third thing would be taxes. Everybody pay taxes. I don't care how poor you are, how rich you are, you will pay taxes. So because I think that a lot of the issues that we have.
Yeah.
Who's controlling the agenda? If you look at the last election, the last presidential election, was children the number one issue?
No.
No. Was it the number 2, 3, 4, 5? No.
No, not at all.
Okay, no.
They even talk about education, I don't think.
And did you hear was term limits high on the no. Okay, were they talking about lobbyists getting out there, and incentivizing these politicians? There's just no way you should be a politician that's making a couple of $100,000 a year, and you come out a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a way. So I have Democrats that I love, and I have Republicans that I love, but what I love moreover is America. I love we the people.
Mm-hmm.
I see things differently, and people will name me sometimes when I speak this way, but the power is in we the people.
Right.
The power is not in the military. It's not in the governmental officials. It's in the people. As a military officer, people all call me a hero. They often use that language, and I believe that the military personnel are heroes. Okay, but the way I'm speaking for a lot of my brothers and sisters, the way we feel like a servant, because that's what we are. We're called to serve.
Correct.
And that's why I am a service member, because I serve. I am a servant. I raise my right hand to solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, the Constitution of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That's a service to our great nation. And if we had people to understand that, I think we'll be better off for it. So politicians need to know that you're not the boss. We, the people, we're the boss. We will hire you, and we will fire you. And if Van had anything to do with it, you guys.
This is the 2028 campaign trail. So look, man, we about to get out here, but I see that you have some apparel over a hat over here.
Yes.
I want to know what it was, and
yes. So
tell the people exactly what it is.
So Adam, this here is a hat from the United States Special Operations Command. Right now, it's led by a 4-star general by the name of Brian Fenton. So General 4-star General Fenton, we've talked from time to time, and I told him, say, hey, passing out your hats to outstanding Americans that are really changing the culture and really being the best version of themselves, leading the way. And so he's delighted that I'm passing out his hats. And I would tell you, even when I tell the kids, I say, hey, if you guys play Call of Duty, Halo, all of those special operations and special forces guys, they all, in one way or another, they fall under the command of Special Operations Command. So this hat represents excellence. It represents esprit de corps. It represents sustained, superior performance. It represents love. It represents compassion. And it represents strength. And you represent all of that. And I want you to continue to do what you're doing, not only in this podcast, but in all of the other endeavors that you're doing out there, including going out there, helping on recovery, natural disasters. Mm-hmm. And you're an amazing person. I'm proud to be your uncle, and I look forward to coming back here. So when you see this hat, just remember this day, and remember that I believe in you and others believe in you. And when you do good things, people are not always going to tell you about it. Mm-hmm. You just got to know that it's happening. And I'll say this one other thing to you, that I believe that one day, if I am fortunate enough to make it to heaven, I think that God will take me to the side and say, let me show you all the people. Let me show you all the people that you impacted during your life.
Wow.
You don't know it, but these people over here, there's 500 soldiers that were going to commit suicide. and they didn't because they heard Ole Glory on Facebook. I didn't know that. And I'm telling you, Adam, that there are people that are making decisions based on this podcast.
Wow.
So, and I believe that if you're like me, if we're fortunate, I think God will take you to the side and show you all the people that you're impacting. So I want to give you your flowers while you live and tell you thank you very much for being an amazing American.
Thank you. Thank you. Y'all hear that? I'm an amazing American. So guys, look, Van, first of all, thank you for coming up here because I know you have a busy agenda, busy schedule, and of course we're gonna have dinner later on. But coming to Texas, and now you're an official Texan. I should have got you a hat, So you go home with a hat, cowboy hat.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling Rita, look, you coming home with some cowboy hats and cowboy boots. So shout out to Rita. Shout out to Rita. But man, I appreciate you for coming up here, man, and just bless us with your presence and everything that you do and continue to do and helping the kids out and everything. So guys, this is the ending of the show. Van, where can the people find you if they need some mentorship, if they just they need you to come say the poem somewhere, they want to give you $100,000 just to sell speech.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. There's two places you can go. Number one, healingamerica.com. Just like it sounds, healingamerica.com. And then number two is my name, my full name, evangelomorris.com. So if you can go there, just check it out, and I will be so grateful for it.
It is, guys. You already know where to find me. I'm Culturally Distinct everywhere. Once again, shout out to my sponsors, 605 Adult Beverages, also Red Core Universe. Guys, look, this is a great show. Make sure you spread it to a friend. Make sure anybody that was in the military, anybody that's post-military, anybody that's going into the military, make sure you share this because I think this is going to be beneficial. It's going to be inspiring, and it's going to help them and impact them in the long term. Guys, this is Culturally Distinct. This is your boy, DJ KO. Shouts out. I love you guys, and you can't do nothing about it. Peace.
Awesome.